Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to Prince George. Well, we're across town today. We went to Panzer King's home because he has got a new war room set up. I'm not sure what he's calling it yet, but he's going to give us a tour today. I just went in a couple minutes ago and took a good look, but I wanted to show you what I seen when I came here because you are not going to believe this. I have never seen anything like this. It's going to blow your fucking minds. Here, let's just see if he's home. I know he's home, but let's just open the door here. Whoa. Open sesame. Alrighty. Let's just take a look around. You can go ahead and shut that. This is where he stores all his games and stuff, is over here. Bunch of extra units and paints and everything. We'll get into that later. This is what you really need to see. Check out this baby here. Ooh, made out of what is this?
So that's made out of an aluminum finished cover there. It's expensive as hell, but I ordered that from a place in Vancouver. I think I've had 4 sheets actually. I need 2 more because I'm actually going to be building the panels that sit on these rails up here that are going to be for the overall income markers for all the nations.
Income tracker, and
yeah,
and there'd be the other one too, the weapons and stuff. Yeah, and there's a diplomacy chart too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I see you got some flashing lights back there. What's that all about?
So these lights are actually linked to my phone. They can control various lighting and can go to, when we're at war, it can be red.
Red alert, Captain.
Can go to yellow or blue or just even standard white. Cool. For that, but like I say, it's all controlled by the phone. This overall room is changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it has.
6 months or since.
For one thing, you got some lights in here.
Yeah.
Nice. Are those LEDs?
Yeah, those are LED lighting. I increased it at least triple fold from the old lights that were. All 6 of them, I think, generate 1,000 watts of electricity or luminosity. So, but yeah, no, it just helps with the brightness and everything. But to add even more light, I added some LED lighting.
Oh, look at that!
Now this table can be broken up into 2 sections. Basically to move it from room to room, or if you ever have to move it. The seam right here as well, so you can actually disconnect it and break it apart. And take off the legs and take off the side panels.
These things are removable too, eh?
Yeah.
Cool. What are these?
So those are 64 ABS caps. Since I'm a plumber and gas fitter, the caps actually.
Well, that's just cheating when you get that stuff.
It will tan it, but it also gives it a bit of symmetry as well. I wanted to make sure that there was an even number amount, and also that they fit in between. The spacing between the long side and the short side is a bit different, but it still gives the look of symmetry as well. Yeah. One thing too about this is that even if you took the map off, it's divided, but underneath it, there's also an aluminum panel as well. But the nice thing about it, all of these are magnetized so that they can actually sit and stick, and they don't get moved around as easy. They're just a small flight stand magnet that are usually on the planes. Yeah. Cool. So you just drill the hole and put it on the inside so it wouldn't stick out. Exactly, yeah. And then when you finish it, you just cover it over with, let's just see here, what's French the Jones ones here. Just put the red marker on there too, so if you're engaged in that battle. Stuff that I have, Exactly. I've learned a lot from your experience, General Hand Grenade, so it's been... let's move this out of the way. Check out this, let's show us those drawers there. So yeah, so each major nation at war here, and you can start with Britain, actually has magnets. There's just one magnet here and one magnet here. There's no magnets here or here, so they actually just kind of fall into position. And they're designed so if you want to move Britain over there or somewhere else, you can easily. Each drawer will contain their documentation for the setup and what you need and what your victory objectives are. And here like I say, you can take these off, you can split them up. The polarity is all the same if you want to move them around. The nice thing about one is that French in particular is that when they lose against the Germans, they become Vichy and French. They can just say, okay, now it's no longer the French, it's the French and the Vichy French.
Cool.
So small little things like that that just give it a bit of a
And all your units are down there.
Yeah, exactly. Expansion joints, or expansion. You can easily put in here as well. The drawers are actually quite long, so you can put in various expansions. For example, the African War is in here, the Finnish War as well. So, like I say, you can really give it some compatibility there.
Yeah, and then you got all the rules that go in there as well.
Exactly. Huh? Yep. From commanders to fall of the right, etc., etc.
And there's all these things down here too.
Yeah.
I think this is just the British units.
Yeah, every nation is represented here. There are 2 for the Americans. I use the American flag here as well. The nice thing about these coasters here is I put magnets on them, so whether it's either this America or I use this symbol to represent the Western or the Pacific Americans, the Japanese, the Italians, the Russians, the French, the Germans.
You just got to get a couple dice trays, I guess, eh?
Exactly, a couple more dice trays, but it just shows you here the battle board. 2 battle boards, you can actually pull these out and one on the other side, so you can actually have 2 battles on at the same time, or at least you can have defense on this side and attack on the other side and vice versa. Yeah. And you have your dice trays here, and then you just play a battle. I'm thinking about making one giant one, or I might even have one split so that they can roll into here and the opposing player.
It'd be nice to get some small ones like I got too, because there are small battles that you don't need to go to the end of the table for, you know, like just to do it against something, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like 2 units, you don't need to battle board them up. But yeah, that's great, having battle boards at the end of the table, kind of like Grasshopper. He has his battle boards together like that. That's cool. I noticed back up here when when we're playing games there, he's playing World War II documentaries up there, and he's got the sound on and everything. So that's the soundtrack of our games when we're playing.
Yeah, the documentaries are called Battlefield. They were done in the 90s, and they actually did a very good job, 2-hour-long jobs on every major battle in the Second World War. And I enjoy watching them and just having them in the background because it makes you feel like you're actually in a war table situation, in a war scenario, like you're the generals commanding the major theaters of battle.
He's got a lot of the same units that I have from Shapeways. Like there's the coastal guns, and there's the fortifications. What's this? Oh yeah, there's the airfields. You recognize those from my table. And the shipyards. I see the ports are on there as well. I haven't bothered repainting. I've got other things now and everything, but I don't know what the final setup is going to be as far as where the shipyards are going to be, majors and minors and ports and dockyards and everything. I've got all the pieces, I just haven't painted them because I don't want to paint them and then have the rules change and paint them again and paint them again. I'll wait until the final product is out before I finish my facilities. That's why in the game that we played last weekend, we just played by the facilities that were on the map there. I see you painted all your neutrals too.
Yeah, that was one thing that took a lot of work, was just painting the neutrals.
And you got all the roundels too.
Yeah, exactly. And that was another added expense, buying all the roundels. But I just wanted to have that pop. And the nice thing about having the roundels is that it just pops out that territory, just brings it to life. The only one I haven't put on here is the Russian ones, because I actually got them underneath here. But you can see like just the difference between noticing it as compared to just having them there.
Yeah. So what did you do with the other 9 of them? Because you got to buy 10 at a one.
Well, and that's just it. When I bought 9 of them, or 10 of them or whatever, I used them to put place markers. But over here, you can see for each nation, for example, this is the Canadian nation, and then of course this is the Spanish Civil War. But here is the Allies, or the pro-Ally neutrals. And I just put the major ones on this little disc just to represent them, just like they have on the coasters with the other nations. but each one has their own thing. And any Randalls, like for example, I think this might be Latvia or something like that. I have an excess of them, and obviously I didn't use them, but this is where the Latvian guy goes, as well as the magnet. Now the nice thing about this is that I actually put magnets on here as well, so that if I find, I don't really want to put Latvia up here, I want to put Latvia down here, I can, or move them around. It just makes it simple rather than gluing them all on and changing them. So yes, the sad thing is the axes, or the Pro axes, I mean, there's only about, 6 or 8 of them. There's not many of them. But here, the Allies ones, I was able to pretty much put all of them in this one container.
And so you've got one on the other side underneath the rolling. Like this is the shelf without all the rolling stuff on it on the other side.
So you can have 2 battle boards, one on either side. Yeah. And like I say, you don't have to go to a specific area.
Yeah. Yeah, and the different the containers, you can put whatever you want in them.
64 of them gives you a whole bunch of options. I'm still playing with it, still trying to figure out which way I want to have them, or which way makes sense. And I know General Hand Grenade will help me with a bit of that too, give me his advice. Truth be told, the battle boards that actually pull out the side were actually his idea, because I asked him about any design ideas when building this table. And when he said that, I thought, that's actually not a bad idea. Something that can retract or come back in. I know in his war room, space is a little bit limited, but since I put this in the garage, I had a little bit more space to play with. But at the end of the day, it was actually probably one of the best ideas for the table, aside from the drawers that I wanted to put in for all the other nations.
Did you do all of your planes with the little markers on them?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've only gotten so far, because as anybody knows that likes to play this game, it can take forever to paint and do everything. But the Japanese are one of the major ones that have been painted. I painted the Land Forces green, or the land planes, or the Imperial Japanese Army planes green, and the Navy ones are represented in white. So if you want to have them, there's lots of options to switch them around, but it just gives it a bit more depth, I think. Yeah. The other nations that have been done are obviously the Germans and the Italians, so I pretty much have focused on the Axis, because I know the Allies will take me far longer to do. But once again, it's a never-ending project with this, but that's why I wanted to build this board and table, so I could actually have a wonderful place to enjoy, with the whole setup.
I did the American ones, or I started to. I got about 3 or 4 fighters done, and this is bullshit. Trying to put on tiny little things. I said, fuck this, and I stopped.
It takes a lot of time.
If somebody wants to do my planes, that'd be awesome.
And you can see, even this Italian guy, I just noticed this today, the one sticker is kind of just falling off as well. So like I said, I'll have to go back there and touch some of them up as well. But once
I mean, it looks great when you do it, right? I love the fact that it's done. But man, I just did not have the patience for it. I thought that painting them was hard enough. I noticed you painted the wingtips kind of like I have as well, right?
Exactly, yeah. I'm probably going to get to the ships eventually as well. But at least the planes, it kind of gives us that little, just that little added, pop to the whole atmosphere of the war. You can see that the Germans are done, but when it comes to these guys here, the actual neutrals, they don't have anything on them, and they don't look as good, and that's the sad truth. And when it comes down to other nations, they turn out good. I don't know if you've noticed in the film or not, but I actually added these in. This is the famous, well, there was a famous picture with the Graf Zeppelin over Cairo, and over on the other side, there's the Hindenburg in the United States before it crashed. I just put that in for a little bit
of the humanity.
Exactly, a little bit of nostalgia. And another thing too.
And look at what he's got here too. That's the new French set. I've got mine finally painted up too, and I'm going to be doing a video of it probably this weekend. I would have been doing that today, but I just couldn't get my ass in gear.
One thing you might notice too as well is the victory cities, or at least they have been added in there. A few of them are a little bit out to scale. Like for example, the Austrian Parliament building is a little bit different. I think it's the Royal Family building. I'm not quite sure which one it is, but there's a lot of new buildings here too.
Yeah, you've got the full set.
Yeah.
I noticed like here's the Empire State Building in New York, right? And for you people that live in Chicago.
This one actually is part of the Pacific side, but I just put that in there because since they're all circles for cities, I just figured, well, they should have something there just to represent New Orleans, so I just put that.
So that's not really from New Orleans?
No, it's not. But eventually, hopefully, he'll come out with one. I think Ebar does a lot of those.
There's Christ the Redeemer down in Rio.
And this down here in Buenos Aires, I believe it was a famous hotel. I forget the name. You got to forgive me because I painted these a long time ago and I haven't done them since then. But there was even one in Algiers, and I believe this one here in Italy was the one of the famous arcs that separated Tripolia and Kufra, kind of at that border crossing there. So that's why I ended up putting that one there as well.
Huh. Was that built by Carthage? Like
No,
that's where Carthage was,
this was just made by the Italians.
Carthage was over here in Tunisia.
Yeah, Carthage was up here.
Yeah.
But no, this was just made by the Italians. I think it was one of the public works done by Mussolini during the 20s or 30s. Because actually, if you notice, there's a lot of fascist symbols, I believe, on that. Of course, I don't think it exists anymore. I think they tore it down, obviously, or whatever after the war. But yeah, even Turkey, some of the nations that are kind of what I would call minor powers, I did a whole set for them, and there's actually a whole thing for them because you can play Turkey with war, as most of you guys know. But I just wanted to be able to have the ability that if Turkey became more of a major thing, which in our second to last game, General Hand Grenade and I, we found that the Turks became a little bit more of a power, especially when Germany
we were playing in round 2 though.
Yeah, we were.
We screwed up one part of the rules, and so they had like $50-something.
Yeah, they had a few.
They're the richest nation on earth. Yeah, there's something wrong here. There's somebody wrote in the comments, oh yeah, right, yeah, fuck that one up. Anyway, cool. What else we got around here? I want to look at these new buildings.
Yeah, that one's in Vladivostok. I think it was, a lot of them are government buildings, but unfortunately, like I said, I can't remember. I know the one in Novosibirsk there, right there, I think that was a train station. The other Russian one as well. The one down in Singapore, because I've always believed Singapore should be a capital city because, I mean, it just kind of was a famous thing. Even I think Winston Churchill said it was a travesty for the empire when they lost it. But it was a famous hotel where a lot of people and famous people stayed. And of course, I put not only the Taj Mahal in New Delhi, but that famous temple there in Calcutta as well. And then, of course, you got the Temple of Heaven in Beijing up there, and I think the famous water gardens in Shanghai or Nanking at that time. And I think what was the post office in the Philippines? All that stuff on the standard stuff. Yeah. So,
what's that one in South Africa? I never noticed that one.
Yeah, so that's the Cape Town Town Hall, I believe. And if you order them, I think, online from Shapeways, they have various sets that all are paired up.
Yeah, I noticed. Like I had them all in my cart there, and I thought, no, I can't spend that time. I went with the battle cruisers instead. That was enough money for me.
This cool thing.
What are all these things for over here?
So those are actually meant to go on the battle boards or the income boards once I get there, because I'm going to have 3, one for each
Which one's this
side.
one?
So that's actually the Italian fascist symbol.
This is the Italian fascist symbol.
Sorry, you're right. That is the Italian fascist symbol. This right here is the Spanish fascist symbol, but this also is the Spanish or fascist symbol as well. But it was the more official one that they used, I think, after when they won the Civil War. So because I did some research and I thought, okay, because that also is sold on historical board gaming as well. So. This one right here too, I ordered these on Shapeways as well. Eventually, if I play a game, it's just, it's actually the Graf Spee or a replica of it. So it's one of the German battle cruisers that ended up going down there to Uruguay and Montevideo. So, if I ever play a game, it just gives you a little bit more accuracy and you can play around with, because the great thing about playing 1936 is every game is always going to be different, but you can literally do a lot in the first 3 or 4 turns.
That last game, that one that we just played, I mean, you couldn't get much more different than that. Moscow falling so early, and France never falling, and you know, the west coast of the America gets attacked, and just it was quite the game for sure.
When Jinx defeated me and took Moscow pretty much in the first turn that they attacked Russia, I even shook his hand and I said, thank you. This is the reason why I love this game so much, is because you don't know what's going to happen. And I thought it was one of the most awesomest things, part of the game, even though some people can get upset about that, but I thought it was actually...
Yeah, after you left, he goes, well, you think he was okay? I said, yeah. Fuck, he thought that was awesome. He just wants to play. He doesn't care if he wins or loses. And that was the same with the rest of us. We didn't care if we won or lost either. Like, we're still learning this game, and it's fun just to get together and play. I mean, just hanging out with guys and who like to talk about World War II and stuff like that. I mean, you don't play these games just because you like little pieces of plastic. You play because you're at best an amateur historian, or at worst an amateur historian, like I am, and like I know Panzer King is, and so just getting together and talking about, you know, oh yeah, I'm fighting you here. You remember that one where, yeah, that's the one. Okay, well, you remember you lost that one, right? Well, not this time. Anyway, this is so cool. I just love this table. If it goes missing, then you're not allowed over at my house anymore.
I don't think it'll fit in any room in your house. Maybe the living room.
Yeah, the living room. That's about it. Yeah, I'll get rid of my TV. Cool. What else you got?
So yeah, so basically, I mean, in this room there's obviously a lot going on, but the reason why I'd also designed this table, it wasn't just for Axis and Allies. The cool thing about this is that I made up 7 panels, 16 inches wide by, I think, 64 inches long, and they're designed to go over this table. And not only just to protect the game, because if General Hand Grenade or I or others play a game, we can actually put all of these panels up once we're done a turn, and I can move on and do something else through the weekend, and this way the whole thing gets preserved, and I can play other games. For example, not that, you know, this is affiliated with Axis and Allies, but over here I'm kind of into other things like Star Wars Armada and stuff like that. So you can actually use that table with the panels on top of it spread across to actually play those games as well.
When are you going to paint these things up?
Well, they're already painted. The nice thing about most of those is that some of them, smaller ships, you still need to paint, but...
I bet you Germany could use one of these.
Yeah, probably they could. Change the war. But yeah, so that's the great thing about this whole room and this table, is that it's multi-use. Even if I'm actually expecting my first son here in July here, so Alicia and I are pretty happy about that. But even if we want to do a kids project with this table, you know, we could do a volcano or something like that, put some covering over it, and make this table multi-use. And that's kind of how I sold this to my wife, so that she would have my blessing when I did this, so that it just
I've got an idea. Do you think this would scratch if we slid it along here?
Actually, I already looked at that, and actually, it seems to be actually quite good. But I did pick up furniture movers to do it if we need to. But would you want to just...
this would be a cool angle.
Yeah.
Check this out, guys. Let's just go right to the end. This would be great for filming. Oh!
That's okay.
We just canned the plane.
No, it's one of the German flags that was standing over Berlin. We don't need to worry about that.
There's a flag?
Yeah.
Oh, I got caught in the middle. There we go.
But I did test this, and actually every one of the planes on these flight stands actually will, they won't hit the roof of the panels I made. So that was actually kind of nice.
Not even the tall ones, eh? Like, are you using tall ones?
No, I'm not. I just have the single heights for these as well.
Cool.
But eventually I'll get that too, and then of course we'll have to change a few things as well. But
yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, this is neat. And this is you use this for painting or what?
So this actually was from a friend of mine, and actually I just plugged the light in there and I turned it on. Sometimes I use it for painting, but my eyes are still fairly good, so I don't really need to worry about it too much. But just any finer details, it's just a nice little helpful lamp that I use as well. And then of course,
you put the rule book on these things.
I got some computer screens there. Those were older computer screens, but I put those up there because eventually I want to get a computer set up in here as well to complement this, as well as the TVs. This here, since I'm a plumber and gas fitter, this is a hydronic project I'm working on. And it's going to actually, once again, help provide heat for this room, because I've actually put in-floor heating loops that you see mostly in the ground or in the floor. They're actually in the walls there to give it some radiant heat. It's not ready to be commissioned yet, and now of course I'll have a few more heating loops for upstairs and a snow melt system outside. But once that gets done, this garage will be a nice warm place for us to play in the wintertime and have.
Now he's just showing off.
But like I say, I've always believed if you're going to do something, do it right. Do it the first time, and just make sure you enjoy it for many days in the future. So, but yeah, overall, I'm extremely happy with the way this table turned out.
Me too. I think this is perhaps the nicest table I've ever seen. Like, the most unique table was that guy that did the 3D table with the guy with, what was Fenris or something like that. That was pretty amazing. But as far as just a normal table, though, this is probably the nicest table I've ever seen. Another thing I got from General Hand Grenade too was advice on the height of it, because before I was just using tables from Costco with boards on there to put the table down. But the thing is, if you're standing up here and you want to sit and relax, you want to be able to put the pressure on here, or even with your forearms here, and it's able to hold a lot of weight if you're just wanting to. So it's a comfortable stance and a comfortable position as well. Yeah, the regular height of table is actually 5 inches lower than this. If you had like your kitchen table, it's about 5 inches lower than this. This is 36 inches high. A typical table is 31 inches high. So yeah, I told him when he was building the table, make sure it's taller. It makes a big difference, because then you're not hunched over big time when you're playing. And I know General Hand Grenade has some too, as well and I as well. But the bar stools are nice because, of course, they elevate as well. So even in his video, you can actually sit here and have a bit of a view as well, but you can sit back and you can relax as well. Or you can sit down closer and just see the whole battlefield and still do your thing or do your buys or whatever, and still access all your chips and be relaxed as well. And you have room and space to turn around. And the nice thing is you can take these and put them up here behind you and do it if you want. If you find bending over is too much trouble or it's a little bit too awkward of a spot. So it gives you a lot of flexibility with this room, and of course with this table. Yeah, and lots of room too. And if you need to get away, you can just jump in the Batmobile. In the Batmobile, except it's wrong color. But yeah. Just take off. Anything else? So yeah, no, I think that's it. Up there you can see are the tables that I used for the old wood table. Yeah, up there. The Costco ones. But of course, as far as painting wise, and I'm still painting some items as well, but you can see here, I just used cardboard as well to take them outside, paint them. I got some Canadian chips as well. And just once I'm done with enough of them, I just throw them away. And well, those are your Canadians? Yeah. Is that the same one as mine? So that's just a mechanized one as well. And then of course I was doing some Swedish old coastal battleships as well. Yeah, they got 2 of them. But yeah. Cool. Alrighty then. Well, I am completely impressed, my friend. I can't wait till we get into a game over here. We're just getting into summer now. It's a long weekend, and I should be at the lake, but I just couldn't drag my ass out there this weekend. I worked too hard this week, but I can't wait till we can get into playing a game, probably in the fall, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. Not so cramped in my room, and hopefully the new map will be out by then. Yep. And we'll be playing the new map and the new rules and everything. So, that's it. What did we call this place? It's going to be called the Lion's Den. The Lion's Den. So, this is General Hand Grenade with Panzer King from the Lion's Den. Take care, everyone. Both of us out.